So there's a lot of talk about the 2022 vintage and the challenges that we had. And there's no secret that in the middle of the vintage, we had 5 days at 115 plus degrees throughout Napa. And we're talking all the way down south to Oak Knoll, all the way to the north in Calistoga. And one thing has become abundantly clear while I've been doing all of the blendings. Vineyards that had the capacity to mitigate heat had very successful vintages. People that didn't struggled. And this comes to fruition with two sources of heat mitigation that I think were incredibly successful. One, shade cloth works in a year where you have sun penetration and you're trying to control sun impact on the grapes. That wasn't the challenge in 2022. In 2022, for the first time, we had just raw heat without wind at temperatures that in some of the vineyards cracked 120 degrees. And what happened is we actually had some rachis necrosis, and the vines had a little bit of death in their rachis, and the vines stopped developing flavor and tannins. And so the vines that were treated properly with heat mitigation had success. And what is heat mitigation? I think there's two forms that worked really well that we're now confident in moving forward. One they've been using for years was overhead sprinklers. So the overhead sprinklers, you can put hundreds of gallons of water on a vineyard in a short period of time, and that water cools the fruit and kept the rachis and the vines going. And those vineyards did a very good job of dealing with the heat. The vineyards that had misters in them, on the other hand, did an amazing job. And the misters used considerably less water than the overhead sprinklers. And in the sites where we had misters, it's almost as if we didn't have the heat event. There was no damage to the vines. Once the heat event ended, the vines started producing flavor and the tannin development continued, and those vines did absolutely fine. And so right now, the important thing is for the people in Napa, especially the progressive growers who understand that excellence is dependent upon improving how we deal with climate change, know that we need to develop new systems of misters, ideally to use the least amount of water possible. There's several new systems on the marketplace that came in 2023. Costs are going down, but this should become a part of every vineyard, every newly planted vineyard that's dedicated to excellence. Part of their program is going to be misters, or if they have tons of water and they want to save money, use overhead sprinklers. But one of those two is going to help you protect your vineyards, protect the wines moving forward in the world where we don't know exactly where climate change is going to take us.